Hello, and welcome to the Arts, AV Technology, and Communications and Marketing Career Choice panel discussion. We are very excited to have our panelists and participants with us today. To get things started, we'd like to know how you are joining us. So at this time, please let us know if you are joining us as an individual attendee, which means viewing on your own device, or if you are participating as a class via the poll on your screen. We'll give everyone a few more seconds to respond. Okay, so it looks like about 90% of our guests are viewing us individually today. However you are joining us, we hope that you will actively participate in the discussion. While you cannot chat with our panelists via the chat feature, you can and you are encouraged to submit questions for the panel or a particular panelist via the Q&A feature. Please submit your name or your class, and we'll read it along with your submission, or feel free to submit a question anonymously. There will also be a couple of polling questions, like the ones we just completed. Please submit your answers properly to have your responses recorded. Now, without any further delay, I'd like to turn things over to the panel's moderator, Jessica Beebe with the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research.
Thank you, Audia, and welcome to everyone joining us today. Today's panel is the Arts, AV, Technology, and Communication/Marketing. And we would like to welcome our panelists. First, Ms. Madison Eades with the Danville, Pittsylvania County Chamber of Commerce, Kristen Gusler with KG Graphics, Natalie Hodge with Rudy's Girl Media, and Chuck Vipperman with CVip Media Solutions. First, I would like to ask the panelists to give a short introduction, telling our students a little bit more about yourself, your career, and your current job. First off, I will pass it over to Madison Eades.
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie Eades. I work for the Danville, Pittsylvania County Chamber of Commerce as the Director of Member Engagement, and I have been with the Chamber since February of this year. My office is located at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, and I typically work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I do have some flexibility and work from home occasionally, so Fridays are my work from home catch-up days. Each day I start by checking emails, voicemails, and prioritizing my day based on what we have going on program-wise. I run all of the marketing for the Chamber, which includes Facebook, LinkedIn, and our biggest thing right now is email blasts and newsletters, so I work on those almost daily. We also plan to facilitate more than 60 programs and events this year for our business community. Our three focus areas include small business development and entrepreneurship, legislative advocacy and education, and talent development, which can be defined broadly as business, government, and leadership. We focus on connecting member organizations with resources and networks to accelerate growth. We connect our members and advocate on behalf of them with local, state, and federal government. And we connect our organizations with resources to strengthen talent development and developing and delivering substantive, affordable, accessible programming. I obtained my bachelor's degree in hospitality and tourism management from Virginia Tech in 2018. So during my last few months at Virginia Tech, I started working as the front office manager at the Virginian Hotel Curio Collection by Hilton in Lynchburg. I was traveling there on weekends and doing training remotely. Then we opened the brand new property 3 days after I graduated. Less than a year later, I was promoted to the catering sales manager. So I planned and executed events, including weddings, social events, corporate events like conferences and meetings. So that's a little bit of my professional background, but my first job when I was 15 was running the social media platform for a local photographer. And then I became a lifeguard and I worked in the tap room at Tuscarora Country Club. I worked there through high school and on breaks through college. So my favorite part of my current job is that I get to be a connector in the Danville, Pittsylvania County region through the Chamber's work. and I get to be involved in all of the growth, development, and overall good things going on here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen Gusler. I own and run KG Graphics. I'm a graphic designer as well. What we do at KG Graphics, we are a design and printing company. We can design all kinds of artwork basically for businesses and individuals. So everything you see in the world basically is designed by a designer when it comes to marketing materials. That's what we do mainly as our core, but we offer as a one-stop shop printing as well of all kinds. So we can print t-shirts, business cards, design logos, posters, embroider apparel, flyers, websites, anything you can think of that you can print or design or print a logo on, we help do it. A typical day with us basically is taking orders, helping customers, emailing, setting up jobs for our production department, and letting everything, make sure that production is going to run properly, because we have equipment like screen printers, embroidery machines. We have a wide format printer, so we got to make sure everything's set up and ready to run and everything goes smooth throughout the day. I've been with the organization since 2009. I opened it right out of college. I started out as a freelance designer, and once I built my clientele up over about a 5-year time frame, I decided it was time to go out on my own and open my own business. So KG Graphics was pretty much born and open for business then to anybody and everybody. We're located downtown in the River District, and I love this area, and people can come in and order things. You can see our shop here. We try to be fun and colorful and keep things exciting and help you with anything you're looking for. So before I worked with, hold on a sec. Since college, I've always loved art. That's what got me into graphic design. I started out and originally decided I wanted to do graphic design once I took yearbook class. That really showed an interest in that, and I decided from there that's what I wanted to do. So after that, I went to Longwood University, and 2007, I graduated with a Bachelor's of Fine Art and a concentration in graphic design, and then basically went on from there. After college, I worked as an in-house designer, so there's other things you can do besides owning your own business with graphic design. I was an in-house designer for a company here in town named EDL, or Electronic Development Labs. They offer temperature development, things like that for their for industry use. So I started out with being their in-house designer and working through things with that. My first ever job was at Leggett Town and Country here in Danville. I started there in high school and was one of their sales associates throughout college as well. And then after that, once I had started KG Graphics and got them and freelance some, I gained them as a customer, and they're still one of our main customers that we do a lot of stuff for. So you'll see different things that we offer for them. My favorite part about my job is I love what I do. I love art. Art has always been my passion growing up, and every day is different. So I get to experience new things and help bring customers' ideas to life. So that's really cool about like anything they bring to us. We bring it to life and help their business and or something in their event that they're doing. And then too, everything's just different all around when it comes to print forms or design related. And I like that variety. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Hodge. I am the founder and owner of Rudy's Girl Media, and it is a multimedia company. I specialize in film and television production, but I also do some literary writing as well. Rudy's Media started locally in 2016, but I really started the journey when I lived in New York and then Los Angeles. working with some independent film producers and understanding the behind the scenes work that goes into film and television production. And so actually, even before that, when I was in New York, I was background acting, which kind of led me into the industry. So it's been a really exciting journey to understand not only what we see in front of the camera, but all of the work, all of the people who contribute to a production happening. And through this exploration, I identified writing as my primary passion. So there are folks who, you know, do videography or cinematography. There are editors. There are all sorts of people who collaborate to make a film or television production happen, but it all starts with the writer. And so I like being at the beginning of the process. And even when we're talking about things like unscripted television or reality TV shows, there are writers involved in developing concepts, understanding your target market, understanding how to create a project that fits with certain platforms. And so I get to do all of that really exciting work. And I love it. And my typical day is not typical at all. So it could be me working on a set or me, you know, writing by myself. There could be a number of different collaborators who are a part of the process. I write things specifically for this community, but I also have projects that, you know, locations in Los Angeles or Atlanta or New York is a location that I work at a lot or build projects for a lot. So as I mentioned, 2016 is when I started Rudy's Girl Media here, but I've been working in film and television for over a decade. So I brought those skills, experiences, and that network to the local area to do this work. My first job ever was in my family convenience store, and I was the assistant manager. And that was when I was a small child, and I did everything from organize shelves to sweep the like out in the front sidewalk. So that was a great opportunity for me to just learn the value of hard work and owning your own business. And I knew that from that experience, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have my own business, but I didn't want to own a convenience store. So it took me many years to figure out where I wanted to land with all of that. But I'm really happy about having found my passion with writing. And my favorite part of doing this work is that I get to meet a lot of interesting people all over the world to create these projects, and specifically enjoying doing it here because there are lots of production companies in Los Angeles. There are lots of production companies in New York, but there's not that much film and television production in the way that I kind of constructed in the local community. So I'm proud to be a part of that.
Good afternoon. My name is Chuck Vipperman. I am the owner / operator / only dude at CVip Media Solutions. It's a company that I started in 2016 after I left the radio industry. I'll give you a little background. I'm a local native, born and raised on Eastwood Drive here in Danville. We're not too far from the airport. Went to school, Dan River High School, graduated back in the dark ages in the mid 1980s. While I was at Dan River, I had a chance to go to local radio station, WDVA, and record a commercial, a public service announcement for the group I was in, a school group at Dan River. And when I walked into the studio, what we call the production studio, where commercials and other things are made, something just hit me. Something just hit me, and I knew right then and there I was going to be doing this for a living. I felt immediately at ease, and I felt an immediate kinship with everything. Now, then we had great big reel-to-reel machines. I don't know if any of you have even seen them, but that was one of the biggest means of production then. This is before digital. So yes, I'm an old dude. It's the way it works. I decided I wanted to go to college, and because I've always been intellectually curious, and I wanted to find a way to combine education with making a living in radio. So the natural way to go was to do radio news, which I did. I went to Virginia Tech, late 1980s, got a bachelor's degree in communication studies. The way we were at this timeline, if you can imagine technology on a continuum, in the late 1980s, personal computers were just getting to be a thing. In high school, I never touched a computer. By the time I got to college, I realized some of the other kids that came from, say, Northern Virginia, they knew about computers. So I was already way behind the curve there. And in my 4 years at Virginia Tech, some of the things we learned was some of the tricks of information gathering. Well, 3 or 4 years after I graduated, everything I learned was obsolete. Nothing still applied. Microfiche had been replaced with digital databases. And so I had to learn that all over again. And since then, I've had to relearn technology about, a dozen times because it keeps changing. Just as soon as you get comfortable doing it one way, that's going to change. So one thing I would like to impart to everyone here is your degree is nice. It's a great foundation, but boy, you're going to be learning on the job no matter what you choose to do all throughout your career. If you'd have taken college Chuck and shown him what 2021 Chuck is doing today, they would not be able to recognize it. They would not be able to fathom that. So yeah, I started right after college. I got a job at the old station I was at, WDVA, doing news. Started doing news in the afternoon, became news director, moved to South Boston for 4 years where I started a news department from scratch. Then in 1997, was recruited to come back to Danville, where I was still living. I was commuting at the time, and take a news anchor position at WBTM and WAKG. A year later, I was promoted to news director there, and I held that job until I left the radio station in 2016. Now, when you're doing morning news, it can be very exciting, very hectic. We were news heavy. Newspaper people tell you deadlines stink. Radio people have to deal with 20 deadlines in a day. And that clock on the wall is an unforgiving mistress. When it says 4 o'clock, it's time for the 4 o'clock news. It doesn't care that your printer is jammed. It doesn't care that you're not feeling well. You have a very hard deadline there. So in addition to being challenged academically, you're also challenged instinctually. You have to learn to be very, very good at time management. You must maximize time available. The other part of that job was I got up at 4:30 every morning for over 20 years, actually close to 30 years as I count the numbers. And so, yeah, I don't miss that part at all. I started CVip Media Solutions in 2016 as just a way to market the skills that I had developed over the years and to be my own boss, to be able to do my own thing and to make a living doing that which I've been doing for years, and to be able to do it sort of on my own terms. I like being able to get up now whenever I want, but most of what I do today is contract work. But the biggest thing I started doing earlier this year was a daily news show that I release on Facebook called Southside News Today. It is an 7 to 8 minute daily video news wrap up of the day in Southside Virginia. It's basically, if you like to watch WDBJ or Channel 13's news at 11 o'clock, it's a mini version of that is hyper-focused on Danville and Pittsylvania County. And I've been partnering with the Star Tribune for distribution, and I've got 3,500 views every day on this. That's most of what I do, but because I own my own company, I do lots of stuff on the side too. This morning, I was reading a textbook that's going to be used at Texas Tech University for their writing center, just part of an audiobook collection. That's something I can offer. This fall, I'm also doing some political advisory work for 2 political candidates here in the region. And of course, I still do GW football on my own. That was one thing I was determined to continue doing because I absolutely love doing that. We had a game last night. And so I didn't get back till late on that. put Southside News Today together, but I was able to get up this morning at 9:30. So again, it's nice being your own boss. In terms of other jobs I've held, this has been pretty much it. I have been, like I said, when I walked into that studio in 1983, I guess it was, something hit me and I knew I was going to be doing this, using my voice and using mass communication. I was going to be doing that for the rest of my life. It is what energizes me. It is, I get up in the morning every day looking forward to starting to gather news, starting to put together. I really, really like the process of getting raw information and being able to put it into a format where people understand it. People who use jargon and obfuscating language do not impress me. I'm impressed by people who can take the simple and or take the complex and make it simple and understandable. And that's what I try to do. Again, I'll answer, of course, questions a little bit later on, and I apologize if I've got a skippy internet. There's nothing I can do about that. But that's been my job, doing something to do with radio ever since high school. Now, oh my gosh, we're almost 40 years away from that first day in that studio in West Danville. So I'm Chuck, and that's my story.
Thank you all so much for your introductions. We've got a lot of great questions coming through the Q&A. I've noticed some of the panelists are in there responding, but if you haven't, what I'm going to do is the first question I'm going to ask, it's actually been asked quite a few times. So thank you, Abigail, Emma, and quite a few others. Thank you for the group at Gretna Middle School. They're all asking, what is the hardest part about your job? And then we also were asked, what's your favorite part about your job? So if we could go through the panelists in order and just share the hardest part and your favorite part.
Do I start with this one?
Yeah.
Okay. I think one of the most challenging things about my job right now is just getting all of our information out to all 17,000 of our members. We have to reach multiple generations, and they all obtain information in different ways. And sort of like what Chuck was talking about, technology has changed so much. So we're always trying to figure out the best way to get our information out. My favorite part about my job is just being a connector in our region. I love meeting all of the small business owners, large business owners from all sizes, and figuring out what they need, connecting them to the resources and programs and events, leadership development, all of the things. So I just love being a part of this community.
I would say one of the biggest challenges with being a graphic designer and everything being so different is dealing with the customer. Every customer has different aspects, and sometimes the way they suggest or explain something to you may not completely come through the way they envisioned it. So you got to be willing to work with people and almost read their mind in a way, because sometimes you may have an idea that would work best for them, that they don't see it right then. But then you work through and recreate it and make them get a completed graphic where they're wanting it to be. Then probably my favoriteest thing about our job is just where everything's different all the time, working with all the different medias in the print world where everything's not the same. I love it being nothing the same all the time, because it makes every day different, so it's not consistent. But I would say that's probably my favorite.
I shared this with some folks in the chat already. The most challenging part of this work is I have to be a jack of all trades. So I'm not just a writer. I produce, I have to market. I have to do all of these different things in order to activate the writing element of what I do. Even though that's my core business, I have to be at least good at a lot of other things in order to propel that portion of the business. So that can be challenging at times, because I really want to focus on writing, but in order to make that happen, I have to do a lot of things to set it up. So that's challenging, but it also has its fun moments too. I would say the most exciting thing is I love working with people, and I get to work with a lot of different types of people, from people who are excited to be actors, and this may be their first opportunity to explore that as a hobby or a potential career field. I get to work with editors and graphic designers, and and I'm excited to network and work with the folks on this panel. But I get to meet lots of interesting people, and we get to co-create something cool together. And it's really fun at the end of the process to see something that we've worked on as a collaborative, and then it's brought to life. So.
I guess for me, the hardest part of my job is when you're doing news, that means you're sometimes going to be reporting bad news and sharing bad news, even though these are the stories, unfortunately, that a lot of people like to listen to, or at least are attracted to. I hate being the bearer of bad news sometimes. It's different. I was actually, working at a local radio station on the morning of 9/11, because the events were so far away and were just so catastrophic. I didn't worry about that. It's the local stories, the kid who gets hit by a bus and dies, and I know some of the people involved. And in news, you're taught to, keep the story at arm's length. Don't get too close to it, because it's very easy to get emotionally overwhelmed by some of these stories. But sometimes it's impossible not to. I'll say, the Virginia Tech shootings of 2007. I'm a Virginia Tech graduate and still go back to the school, 4 or 5 times a year for football or whatever. And so that one hurt. That one was very, very hard to share, but you have to do it. It's tough. But anything involving a child in particular, I've got a soft spot for children, and anything involving that, I hate sharing it, but you got to share it. You have to do that. Conversely, the best part of this job is those days that you're at your busiest. I always, for local news, the day after election day is like Super Bowl Sunday, because you have all types of just raw information, just all coming in at once. Like this election day, for instance, the day after, I'll be reporting on the governor's race, all 3 of the statewide races. We have 2 House of Delegates races that are going to be decided here in Danville and Pittsylvania County. There are 2 very large referenda on sales taxes. So I know the morning after that, I'm going to have a ton of local news, just in raw form: numbers, winners, losers, reaction, both sides. And I got to mash all that together and make it understandable. I love doing that. I'm already looking forward to it. And it's 6 weeks away, but yeah, when you get something that it's very complex. What happened last night? Well, here you go. Here's it being explained to you in 6, 7, 8 minutes, and being explained in such a way where you're not scratching your head going on, what the heck was that all about? And you understand it. I really love doing that. And yes, I couldn't do that every day because I'd be burned out. I don't have that much energy anymore, but it is fun when it happens. And when you've done a good job, and you can kind of pat yourself on the back just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. I love days like that.
That is so great. Thank you all just for your insights. Again, tons of questions coming through. I'm so happy. We're going to try and answer as many as we can, kids, but if we don't get to them, we'll try and send you some responses. There's been a couple of questions. First one I think I see from Kaylee. Did anyone inspire you to choose the jobs that you're in, or just inspire you in general? And also, is this your dream job that you're currently in?
So I had a lot of people inspire me my whole life. Most importantly, my parents. If we're talking specific job fields, I think my dad really was the one that encouraged me to get my degree in hospitality and tourism management. They know me best, and I definitely am glad that I did that. He was involved in chambers throughout my childhood when we lived in different states. I particularly remember when he was the chair of the Chamber of Commerce in Oklahoma, and then he was also the chair of the Chamber of Commerce in Danville. So I was really interested in doing that work. In high school, I had a couple of teachers that inspired me as well. One in particular, Miss Nestor at Tunstall. We were super close throughout my entire high school career. And I think if you can find a teacher that knows you and that can encourage you and help you find the career path that you want to go down, you can't go wrong. I really appreciate that. And I'll never forget everything she did. And then what was the second part of the question? Is this my dream job? I have a lot of dream jobs. I want to do everything. So I don't know. I think so. It definitely has aspects of my dream job. I feel like I'm still young in my career. And the best thing about my degree that I have, it's so transferable. I can use the skills I have in this job and switch it up if I ever want to.
I would say that my parents were a huge inspiration to me. My dad always had a love for art as well as I did, and he really encouraged me to continue my art throughout school. Basically middle school, I got a really big push into art. I was put into like a gifted art program and kind of encouraged me to push myself throughout the rest of the years. All through high school, art was my main passion, so I really focused on that one. Once I took art yearbook class, Miss Robertson at Tunstall High School was a big push for me. She basically went over a career day of what you could do in art as a lifetime career, and she mentioned graphic design, and I was spot on, excited to do that, ready to do it. I chose it at that point going forward that was what I was going to do. If I didn't do graphic design, I would have did something with animals. So I had two main choices already starting off. My grandparents were another big inspiration. They owned a record company as I grew up, and I was at their house a lot throughout the summers. They encouraged me to push through and own my own company. So with growing up and seeing them run a business, I was very inspired by that. And then I was like, this is what I want to do. If I can get to that point, I'm definitely going to go there and go that route. Forgot the second question again. The second part.
Is it your dream job?
Oh, yes. Yes, it is my dream job. It was either that or animals. And so I was ready to do something in art, and graphic design's not going anywhere. Everybody's going to need advertisement. They're going to need some form of showing their name and getting their word out there. So it's always going to be a open career path of some kind. So thank you.
I have to echo the same thing as the panelists before me. My parents were the biggest inspiration, and my company is actually named after them, sort of. So it's Rudy's Girl. My dad's name was Rufus. He passed away in 2005. And my mom's name is Judy. So I put their names together. So it's Rudy's Girl, and I'm their only child. So it really spoke to, I think, the impact that they've had on my life. And I'm not doing anything that they imagined that I would ever do except be my own boss. I've done lots of different things over the years: real estate, higher education. I've worked for a number of different businesses and a number of different fields. And there was always something missing. I enjoyed the work. I was excited and inspired to do whatever I was doing at that point. But it wasn't until I discovered writing in this way that I really knew I'd found my dream job. So I would say it is my dream job, but I didn't know it existed until I got into it. So I appreciate the journey, because I think it makes my stories even more rich, because I can draw on a number of different experiences and different locations throughout the course of my personal history.
And I will echo everyone else by saying mom and dad, most certainly the biggest influences early on. If for no other reason than they taught me a strong work ethic. I can regale you of stories about them working double shifts and whatnot to show me what it's like to support a family and to do honest work. In terms of others who inspired me, I know growing up, I always was mesmerized by the disc jockeys radio. We used to listen to WYPR in Danville when I was growing up. And when I was real small, I thought when they played a song, I thought the bands were actually right there next to the guy with the microphone playing the music. It took me a while to get used to the idea that no, it's recording, but no, it just something about that appealed to me. And then, like I said, when I walked in to record a commercial when I was 16 years old, again, something intangible. We're almost inching into the spiritual realm here, where I just knew that this was what I was going to do. And so, yes, I would say this is more or less my dream job, but I also would say that I've been working my dream job my entire professional career. I mean, this is what I know I was going to do. And I've been able to, thank goodness, pay the bills for now going on 30 years of being able to do this. Now, yeah, radio is such a wide-ranging thing that you can't pigeonhole it into one activity. There's so many different things about it. But yes, I would definitely say what I'm doing now, producing daily radio news, while also helping out a little bit here and there. CVip Media Solutions also offers writing. I write articles for the Star Tribune. Like I said, I do political consulting for candidates. I voice textbooks for audiobooks. And yeah, I've been paid to lead conferences, to speak to 1,000 people. And it all has to do with that radio background. So yeah, I'm living the dream. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I do want to note that there was a comment that said your voice sounds great on the radio. It came
Thank
through. Okay, so
Appreciate
we
it.
have a few more minutes. There have been a couple questions around COVID and how COVID might have, or the pandemic has impacted you personally, or what you've seen the pandemic impact your industry. And also, could you also share your best career advice for our students?
So at the beginning of COVID, I was actually a hotel manager. So we went from a staff of over 50 to I think about 6 immediately. So I was working the front desk and running the sales and all that stuff. And then we had to cancel all of our weddings and corporate events, which were the biggest thing that we had at the hotel. So that was challenging to reschedule everything. As soon as we could do weddings again, we started in August. So August through November, we did, I think, 20 weddings, conferences, meetings. Didn't really happen, but weddings did. And then I got COVID in November from a wedding. And then in December, I interviewed for this job while I had COVID via Zoom. And then I started working here in February. So COVID was crazy. I just can't believe that all that happened in a year. And now I'm here. And then I know a lot of things changed with the chamber from COVID too. The chamber moved from their building on 29 to the Institute for Advanced Learning. So that was a strategic move to position us well for our business community. A lot of times working at home is so normal now for people. I don't think that was a thing before COVID for a lot of us. So I can easily just take my laptop and do work from home. I hope that answered that question. The best career advice I can provide is just to think of yourself as a lifelong learner. The more you learn, the more diverse and adaptable you'll be in any career field. It will help you discover what you love most about your job or any job, and then what you want to do in the future. So as long as I'm learning, I'm definitely doing my dream job.
With COVID for us, once it started last year, it was a little slow. Business slowed up a little bit because we deal with a lot of businesses. So they were a little scared to spend money, do new advertisement, do anything like that. So what we did to help the community is we started a support local t-shirt campaign. With that support local t-shirt campaign, we allowed anybody and everybody to purchase t-shirts, and all of the proceeds would go to a business of their choice in the area, Danville, Pittsylvania County area. And we did that pretty much to keep us busy, as well as to help the community and provide any funds to them to keep them going. That promo blew up. We raised over $10,000 in basically a 7 or 8 weeks time frame. We had to keep coming out with new shirt colors and keep selling them. Those businesses were very touched by receiving checks. We mailed out checks to every single business. I think it was over 100 and some businesses that we mailed checks to. So that was a huge thing and a very blessed thing to be able to help the community and keep those businesses encouraged that we're going to all make it through this and keep things going. After that, we started picking business back up. We got business from those businesses that we helped out, as well as masks were a huge hit last year. Once people started wearing masks, they wanted their logo on them or a saying on them. So we put out the masks like crazy. I think we printed over 25,000 masks last year alone. So that was a huge hit. Otherwise, business has been great. We have been pushing and rolling through since. Everybody has needed things to help push their business, keep their business out there and keeping it in front of everybody. Other than that, I mean, COVID really hasn't affected us too much. Luckily, we've been blessed with not getting sick with anything. Keep it that way, I hope. As for an advice from us going forward as you make your career choices, go for something you love to do. Work hard, see it through, set goals and achieve them. Like, that's one big thing for me. I've always set a goal of something that I've wanted to do and really push towards that goal until I achieve it. And if you have that goal, I mean, you can do anything you have in your mind. So good luck.
COVID had a really big impact on my business because it really for a long time shut down production at any level. And when things began to open back up, I was able to get out and start filming projects again, but with all of this equipment, face shields and waivers and doing all of this stuff to kind of protect people who were a part of a production. So it changed how the work was being done, but that's just par for the course. When there's a challenge that comes up as an entrepreneur, you just find a solution. And it allowed for me to take a step back from some of the in-person stuff that I was doing to think about, this is a great time for me to do more writing, to do more networking with people in the industry, because now I can have a virtual meeting with someone who is in Los Angeles, as opposed to trying to make travel arrangements or, get on people's schedule. It's just a lot easier to make connections with people around the world through virtual meeting spaces. So I leaned into that as a part of my business model and how I operated during the pandemic. Piece of advice: don't worry if you're the type of person that you don't identify one particular thing that you want to do and you have a lot of interests and you don't know where to get started and you feel like everyone else has a chosen path. Don't worry about that. Just pick a lane, explore it, give your best effort, really spend some time learning that industry, get mentors in that space, and then make a determination if that's the right space for you. And it's okay if once you get on that path and you discover it's not your thing, to transition to something else. You don't have to stay in a field that doesn't suit you. But while you're in that space, give it your all. Give 100%, and you'll discover along the way that people in those spaces, because you're a great person and you've given 100% of who you are, they'll support you in figuring out a next step. And I have definitely had that experience as I've transitioned to a number of different fields. All of them have meant something for what I'm doing now. But it's because I made the commitment. While I'm here, and I'm focused and I'm invested, and I have an amazing network of people across the country as a result.
In terms of COVID, the first couple of months of COVID, when really nobody was 100% sure what was going on, that cost me some contract business. Had a lot of contractors who ran, daily operations that said, "Whoa, wait a minute, we gotta shut down here. We gotta see what's going on." So I lost a lot of contract business. My income for I think it was March, April, and May of last year, my income just knocked 50% just like that. And yeah, that's no fun because my bills still came due with regularity. As we got a better grip on just what the pandemic was and what it wasn't, quite naturally, people began to start getting busy with business again, restrictions notwithstanding. Given the nature of radio, COVID doesn't lead to that many restrictions in and of itself. Yeah, you can certainly isolate yourself in a studio. Like, again, down here, my studio is my house, so it didn't affect me in any respect there. But yes, it did impact the amount of business that outside vendors were given to other people like me. So yes, yeah, first 3 months in particular with COVID were bad. And of course, given the nature of my work, I reported on COVID, and that's one of those things in the news business. You want to be obviously accurate, but you also want to give a story the treatment it deserves. Yes, this is an unprecedented pandemic for our generation, but you don't want to be scaremongering either. That's a fine line. Yes, this is big. Yes, we're going to be talking about it. Yes, you should know as much as you possibly can. But and that's one of the reasons I don't watch a minute of CNN, Fox, or MSNBC. That's called push media. If it bleeds, it leads. They are going to glom onto anything that it's popular right now, and they're going to oversell it, oversell it, oversell it, oversell it. And you have to be a very wise consumer of that kind of news, because you can quickly, as a consumer, be overwhelmed with information, and that it has a very bad impact on a lot of people when you start ODing on information. So I've tried to be careful with COVID to, yes, present it as the big story that it is, and of course with all these updates, but not to overplay it to the point where people are just frightened for no real reason. So that's a delicate balancing act. There's no book that'll tell you, all right, you've gone too far, Chuck. You're making this something that's not. There's no. You have to play that by instinct, and you get feedback from people all the time, and you take that into consideration. But yeah, you just have to be careful with that. In terms of advice to give people, I think Maddie said it best: be a lifelong learner. This is going to. 5 years after I graduated from college, most of what I learned there in terms of the technical stuff, not the philosophical stuff, but the technical stuff, was obsolete. It no longer applied. I was a dinosaur. Now, if I had not been willing to be a lifelong learner, I would still be sitting there back in 1993 using cassette tapes and wondering why nobody wants to hire me to do something. That kind of thing. Technology is always going to change, and the pace of the change and the frequency of the change is only going up exponentially. Always learn, always have your ears and eyes open, and be willing to incorporate new technology, new ways of thinking, new ways of consuming technology into whatever it is that you do. I promise you, as soon as you get comfortable, it's going to change.
Thank you all so much. I'm going to turn it over quickly to Audia.
Thank you, Jessica. To our students, we hope you were exposed to some new careers and organizations in our region today. You can continue your career exploration through Major Clarity and the Career Choice website and activities. Remember, the more you engage, the more you learn. This panel counts as an activity towards Career Choice gear, as do the other panels, the scavenger hunt and the survey. Be on the lookout for that coming Thursday. Thank you to our moderator, panelists, teachers, and sponsors who made today's discussion possible. We couldn't bring Career Choice to our regional students without you. Here's hoping that we get to see you all, your business, students, and teachers back in person next year. Thank you.